My name's Dwayne Hornsby. I'm a nurse at Terrebonne General. I started at Terrebonne General in 2000 and came to the cath lab in 2005. So now I'm a registered nurse in the cath lab. Been working there since. Been about 21 years that I've been in the cath lab. In 2007, had a problem with atrial fib. I was diagnosed with it and was treated by the physicians at CIS. Dr. Abbott had a talk with me and said, maybe you should let Dr. Singh do an AFib ablation. And I was like, well, I think I want to wait. He had just come, and I work in the cath lab and had never seen Dr. Singh work, and so I was interested in seeing what type of physician he was. And so I waited about a year, and in 2018 decided that I was ready. And I had an AFib ablation with Dr. Singh. My experience was great. And of course, I'm kind of biased. I work at Terrebonne General. Terrebonne General does a fantastic job. Nurses are great. Our cath lab is wonderful. And I have to say, Dr. Singh was wonderful.
I met Dwayne when we started the electrophysiology lab here, and I was starting to work. And he was having some palpitations in the heart that he'll feel from time to time, but in his case, they were severe enough to make him take a break from work, and sometimes he was not able to enjoy what he wanted to enjoy on the weekends and after work. And it was bothersome, and he was on medications. He has tried already 1 or 2 medications, and his rhythm was called atrial fibrillation, which is basically an irregular rhythm of the upper chambers in the heart, and it makes patients sometimes feel fluttering in the chest, shortness of breath, fatigue, tiredness, and it can happen in a variety of symptoms. So sometimes there's only one symptom, sometimes there can be a group of symptoms.
When I would have atrial fib, I wasn't able to do anything. My wife was usually always very worried about me. You're not able to go do anything. I didn't want to go out and eat. I didn't want to go anywhere because I couldn't breathe. I couldn't really function. Quite a number of years prior to being diagnosed with atrial fib, I was diagnosed with hypertension. And at the time, I was told that it would be a good idea for me to take some medications to help control it. And I think, like most people, I was in denial. I was in my late 20s and was like, nah, I don't have atrial fib, and hypertension. And I don't know if I want to be on any medication, so I didn't take anything. And then later on, after I got married, my wife would tell me all the time that I snored a lot, and she thought that I had sleep apnea. And of course, at the time too, I was like, no, I don't think I have that either. And even though I went through a test, and the test came back quote unquote borderline, and at the time I decided that I wouldn't have that treated either. And then I was diagnosed with atrial fib. And what I learned from that was that hypertension and obstructive sleep apnea can cause the atrial fib.
Early signs of atrial fibrillation can be just a flutter in the chest, which lasts for a few minutes and goes away. And sometimes it happens after a hectic weekend, sometimes it happens after drinking a lot of alcohol, sometimes it happens randomly while exerting, or even wakes you up at sleep. So one episode or an episode which is several years apart may not have much bearing on the heart issues or otherwise, but if there is an episode which is enough to give you a pause, I think it needs to be checked out. If an episode which makes you short of breath or dizzy, then it needs to be checked out. So not every heart flutter needs to be checked out. However, if the heart flutter lasts longer than a few minutes, that's important to get checked out. So that's usually the number one symptom. Then as time goes by, after 50 years, I think everybody should have an EKG to make sure that we're not missing those silent 20% AFibs which present with a stroke the first time. So I think that's important as well. So routine care as we grow older, and the medicine doctors are really good at it to do that, and then also not ignoring symptoms at a young age.
Since 2017, I have not had a bout of atrial fib since then. I have felt great. I'm able to do all the things that I used to be able to do, and once again, I would say, do it.